Good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Artsbeat Radio and TV. I always wanted to be Barbara Walters and say welcome to 2020. But today we start the new year off with a great group of people called Rock Voices. Tony Lechner's phoning it in. He's the founder and the artistic director. Good morning, Tony. And
good morning.
Sitting next to me is Angela Combest, who's the director of marketing for the Chester Theater Group. And back in the fall, Angela and I were having a chat, just a general chat, and she said, there's a group I want you to know about. And she described Rock Voices a little bit. And it turns out she sings with them on the side when she's not promoting Chester Theater. So I thought it would be really great to get to know Tony a little bit, as well as have one of his singers on board. And as we talk about Rock Voices, they're coming to the Academy of Music in Northampton next week, I believe, January 11th. And you can go online to learn about that performance at aomtheater.com, and you can order your tickets in advance. First of all, Tony, good morning.
Morning.
When did you start Rock Voices?
Rock Voices started in the spring of 2012. So about almost 8 years ago now.
What made you found it? What was the idea behind it?
I had been teaching a community jazz choir in the evenings. It's kind of a part-time fun thing that I just started. We called it the Valley Jazz Choir. And my wife and I talked and thought, I wonder if people would want to sing rock and roll music too. So we did a little digging to see if it was a thing. We thought we could do this. We could just start a community choir for people to sing rock. We saw that they do it in England. The people seem to like doing it over there. We thought, let's do it. Looks like it's a good idea. And I took an ad out in the paper, and we had 50 people show up the first night, and the rest is history.
And it's expanded from Western Massachusetts all over the country.
Yeah, well, not all over yet. I mean, eventually. But we're trying to work on just spreading it around New England right now, and a little bit across upstate New York. And then we do have one in Portland, Oregon, but that's kind of a fluke. A friend of mine lived out there, and he wanted to do it. So we figured, okay, we'll try it. But we weren't trying to go across the country. That's a little much. We're just trying to spread it around here right now.
So you have a couple of groups in the area. One is in Northampton, one I believe is in Brattleboro, Vermont.
Yep.
Are they joining forces for this concert, or will there be a concert in Brattleboro?
There will be a concert in Brattleboro too, but one of the nice things about what we do with Rock Voices is anyone singing in any group, any Rock Voices group around, can go to another concert, space permitting, and sing with them. All the groups sing the same music. So we have people in our group in Northampton that will go up to Brattleboro for that show and join the choir. They'll go to West Hartford. They'll go to Pittsfield. They'll go into Framingham, some as far as New York. If the choir's like, hey, we need more singers for our show, a bunch of singers will get the word and they're like, hey, we're going to come and sing with you. It's a big singing community, all joined together by the same songs in the common enjoyment of just singing together.
Do you direct each particular concert, or do you have people that work with the various groups in the various towns?
The directors in the town that the choir's in, they direct their concerts. I only direct the Hadley group, the Northampton group, and the Brattleboro group.
Now, does Hadley have its own performance, or are they combined with Northampton?
Oh, we combined for that one. Yeah, so the Hadley group and the Northampton group will be together on the Academy of Music stage on January 11th.
In terms of arranging, who does the arranging and who sets up the programs for the various communities?
So I arrange all the music custom because it's hard to find, or almost impossible to find rock music arranged the way it really is in the real song. There's a lot of choir versions of songs out there, but I pride myself on Rock Voices not sounding like a choir. Like I often joke about it with the singers that we're not really a choir. We're just a rock band with a whole lot of singers. And I want to make the song sound exactly like the recording It's what the people love because we end up sounding like the song, especially if we're singing the music of Queen or one of those groups that has layers and layers of singers. And so the music has to be kind of custom tweaked just to fit our choir. So I arrange it, but we take suggestions from the members for what songs we sing. So they all suggest songs, and from those suggestions, I pick a set of about 15 that I think can work together as a concert.
What are some of the songs that you do, and why did you choose them?
Well, sometimes I will choose a song because I think it would work really well as a choir. Sometimes because of the message. I try to choose things that are uplifting. An example of that this season is that we're singing You Will Be Found from the Broadway musical, Dear Evan Hansen. It's a really positive, uplifting, affirming song. And it's just, you can see the room, how people feel when we sing it together. It lifts everybody up. And that's one of the things that's so neat about the choir. And it's one of the rewards I get, and I think the singers get too, is when they can sing a song like that together in a big family of singers. Anyone who's sung in a group before knows that feeling. It's an amazing feeling. And when the message is positive, it's just win-win.
Can anybody join Rock Voices, or do you have to audition?
There are no auditions. No auditions. Anyone can join. We have. I tell people it's a great place to hide if you want to sing in a group, but you don't want to be noticed, because there's a lot of us. So you can get the experience of singing without anyone ever really hearing your voice, because we're all self-conscious about our voices, all of us, I'm sure. And if people want to stand out, they can audition for a solo. So we do have auditions for solos, but the rest of it, it's you just show up and you sing with the group and hopefully have a good time.
And how do people stay year after year? Do they move on? How do people find Rock Voices?
People, there's a little of each. Some people have been with us from the beginning. We have some members that have been with us since spring of 2012. 3 seasons a year. It's a lot of singing together. Some people take a summer off and come back in the fall. Some people move away and then find that they've moved to a town that happens to have another Rock Voices so they can sing with another group, which is kind of funny. We've got some transplants scattered around New England who started with one group and switched to another. But anyone, in terms of finding Rock Voices, a lot of it's word of mouth. Once they know someone in it, they'll say to them, hey, what's that Rock Voices thing? Oh, it's this, and you should check it out. And we have a website, rockvoices.com, that anyone can go to and just look for locations. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question right.
Yeah, and since you've been around for about 8 years, you must have a lot of music in your repertoire. Do you do a song one season and then let it go, or do you bring it back?
We bring back one repeat every season is what we've settled on. We let the group vote on that. But I try to do new music every season, unless we're very specifically repeating. Past summer we sang Motown, music of Motown, which we had done back in 2014. But that's the first time we've ever repeated an entire season's worth of music. Otherwise, it's all new songs every season.
And is
fun for them.
Is each town or location doing the same repertoire every year, or does it vary town by town?
No, all the groups sing the exact same music. That's what makes it so easy for our singers to go from concert to concert, joining in with other groups, and making each choir feel even bigger and even stronger, because they all know the same music.
Yeah. And Tony, you're based here, right? Somewhere in the Valley.
Yeah, I'm a local.
Did you grow up here, or did you end up here?
I ended up here. I grew up outside of Boston, and I came out here for UMass Amherst, and liked it so much out here, I kind of just ended up staying here. I think that happens to a lot of people, especially from the Boston area, where there's a lot of congestion and traffic. You come out to the Valley and discover how amazing it is, and think, I just stay here.
Well, it's happening. A lot of New Yorkers have transplanted themselves here, particularly in the theater world, and in film. And we're very lucky to be in Western Massachusetts, where the creative economy, so to speak, is appreciated. So,
Yeah.
you're participating. It gives you an opportunity to live where you want to live and do stuff that is national in scope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I feel lucky to be here.
you have your directors in the various communities. How do you get the arrangements to them, and how do you confer with them about what your season's going to be?
Well, we just, I share with them the music and we disperse it to the choirs, and we do a lot of learning by ear where I will sing their parts and give them a copy of the singing that they can learn by ear, which makes it real easy because, most of the people in the choir don't read music. When I said anyone can join, I really mean it. And most people in this world do not read sheet music. I think that's what keeps a lot of them out of traditional choirs, because the music is complex enough that you really do need to know how to read music to sing in a traditional choir. Plus, most traditional choirs have auditions, and that's one of the things that pushes people away, that scares people away, makes them think, oh, that's not for me, I can't do that. And what this does, especially with our recordings where we sing the parts to them, is everybody can learn something by ear. I mean, we all like to sing with the radio. So once people start listening, they're like, oh, I can learn this by ear. I don't need to read music. So we don't really stress that part. And it makes it so easy for people to join in. And then each director, just teaches at their own pace, at their own style. No one director is going to be the same as any other. But we all have a mission of learning these 15 songs in this many weeks, because there's a concert at the end, and everyone's got to know the songs.
And every community gets one concert a year, or do they do more than one?
Well, we have 3 seasons of the choir per year. So if it's by the year, each community has 3 concerts per year. We have a fall season, which we're just finishing now, kind of spills into the winter, and our concerts are in January. Then we have a spring season with concerts in April, and a summer season with concerts at the end of July.
And do you do all of those? Do you do all of those at the Academy of Music?
We don't, because it's the Academy's a big hall, and it can be tough to sell out all those tickets. We tend in the spring to sing at a smaller venue. Like in the spring, we'll be singing at the Wesley United Methodist Church in Hadley, which has a beautiful wooden finished room, a hall, sanctuary hall, and we configure it for ourselves and sing a smaller show in there in the spring. But we're in the Academy in the summer and again in January.
That's terrific. You said that it's open to anybody. So if let's say I don't sing, I just show up and get cast. It's that simple. What is the what's the age of the youngest person involved, and what's the age of the oldest? Do you have any idea?
Well, officially the choir is 18 plus, just for liability, so that we don't have teenagers mixed in with adults, and we want to try to keep it easy for everyone that way. But we have people in their 20s commonly, not as many, because I think people in their 20s are usually still really connected to their college crowds, or really digging into a new job market, or pretty busy doing that kind of thing. We tend to attract more 30, 40, 50, 60 somethings, but it's a pretty healthy mix. And we have people all the way up into their 80s in the group. Locally, people like to call us refer to us as the farm team for the Young at Heart Chorus. I remember age out of our choir and go into the Young at. You can't get into Young at Heart until you're 73. I think that's their cutoff.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, the Young at Heart is such a unique group and known internationally. But the idea that there's no age limit to singing rock and roll, to me, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and because of that, it presents an interesting dynamic with a huge range of ages, because we do music from the 50s up to today, which is a big stretch. And so we might sing something like we're singing the Beach Boys coming up at this concert, and anyone who was around in the 60s and the 70s is going to have a different vision of the Beach Boys in their head, their formative years, the music that really stuck with them. And some people who are in their 20s or 30s might be more into the Casey Musgraves song we're singing, which just came out this year, or something newer, like the Broadway, the Dear Evan Hansen. So we have it's like something for everyone. I try to spread out our song selections about 2 per decade through all the decades, so that
Are you
everyone.
doing this work full time? Is this your full time gig, or do you have other stuff that you do?
No, this is my full time. I started this when my wife and I started this, because my wife Sarah and I really did co-found this together. But she never gets any of the credit because I'm the one on all the posters, So I want to make sure I say that, because she's equally important in this to me. But when we started, I was working 5 jobs, one of them full time, and we had a newborn baby and a 1.5-year-old baby. Everyone thought I was crazy. I quit my job after that year, realizing that this was something special, and I wanted to dive in full time and give it my all, because it was the only way it was ever really going to be fulfilling. And it was the best thing I ever did, because it grew pretty fast from there. Within a year, we had 3 or 4 groups and just kept going from there. So yeah, this is my full-time job, and it's definitely more than a full-time job running this many groups. It's administratively a lot to do.
Do people have to pay to be a part of it, or how do you get
They
funded?
do. Yeah, they do. It's like tuition, kind of like I like to think of it as adult ed, furthering continuing education. It's set up college course-wise, where you pay a certain tuition fee for the season to be part of it. It spreads out over the season length, and all that money goes to basically paying the many expenses that come with running it, from whether it's my salary or the liability insurance we have to carry, or the rehearsal rents, and paying a band to perform with us. And there's a whole long line of expenses with the business. And we have scholarships for anyone who can't do the money. We provide scholarships.
And do the music groups allow you to perform? Do you have to get permission, for example, to do a Beach Boys song, or to do something by another artist, or do they readily give you permission to perform their work?
We pay into ASCAP, PRO, fees annually to cover us for that. So we're licensed to go around and perform the music on stages. We didn't used to be when we started, because I was under the impression that any club or building you go into pays fees. Like a lot of bars have to do that to play songs on the radio. And what I learned along the way was that a lot of them don't do that. So I want to be by the book and keep things above board. So we pay an annual license fee that allows us to be, in a sense, like a traveling club where we can perform the music under Rock Voices. So, yeah, we're all set with that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And do you see yourself expanding to more places down the road?
I think so. We get requests from the towns neighboring where we have groups saying, hey, it's too far for me. Can you start one over here? So we are trying to field those requests. It takes time to do this right, so we're not in any hurry. But I'm definitely trying to satisfy the requests we get, because we get a lot from people who are writing to us saying, we'd love to see one here. So, yeah, I can see it expanding. It's like a virus, but a good one, a healthy virus.
So technically, any town could have a Rock Voices ensemble in it if they had the people to do it and the place to perform.
Yeah, it really could. I mean, there's people that like to sing everywhere, and I think more people like to sing and really can sing than think they can. Most people in our choir come to me saying, well, I can't really sing, or I'm not a singer. And that's true, but it's also not true, because we are all singers, all of us. So this proves it. This group literally proves that. It's a choir of non-singers. It's like an anti-choir. And the things that they do musically blow me away by a non-audition choir. It's pretty cool to see happen.
You said you had some soloists, or people were chosen to do solos, and I obviously would audition for that. Have any of them gone on? Have you discovered any talent among your soloists where they've gone on to professional music?
Well, I taught high school and middle school music for 17 years before this. So I have seen that happen in that case, where the students were always going on to their careers. But with this, it's a little different. I have discovered talent. Yes, people have presented themselves as, wow, that's an amazing voice. But they don't really go on, because most of the people in the choir, they're all working professionals, and in a lot of cases retired, but not necessarily heading somewhere. they're just kind of at this point in their lives, they're content. They have their family to raise, or they have their job, and they're happy to find this as their outlet. It's almost like they've gone on to this, and this has kind of become an experience for them, where they have an outlet to sing in public backed up by a professional band in a sold-out Academy of Music. I mean, it's kind of a neat thing to get to. That said, sure, there have been people in the choir who have gotten back into singing. Maybe they used to sing, and they've rediscovered singing through this, and they have gone on to do some other neat things. One of our soloists, Elise Langer-Smith, just got to do music at a TED Talk presentation. She was the featured performer between speeches, and it's going to be like nationally broadcast. And she kind of said she found her way back into music and ended up now moving on to this. And so she's one example, I think, of someone who is branching out further, I would say. That's just off the top of my head. I'm sure there are more.
We're going to take a little break here. We're talking with Tony Lechner, who's the founder and director of Rock Voices. And we haven't had a chance yet to talk to Angela Combest, who's sitting next to me. She's a member of Rock Voices, who's also the marketing and public relations director for the Chester Theater Company. So I'm going to ask her some of her thoughts and her experiences with Rock Voices. And maybe, if we're lucky, she'll tell us something about the upcoming season at Chester. This is Arts Beat Radio. I'm Mark Auerbach. Peter Coles is our chief engineer, and we'll be right back after we acknowledge our underwriters.
About your plans to make me blue with some other girl you knew before. Between the two of us, girls, you know I love you more. It took me by surprise, I must say, when I found out yesterday. Don't you know I heard it through the grapevine? Now the song would you be mine? Can't hold inside, losing you and my life, you see, 'cause you mean that much to me. You could have told me yourself that you love someone else. Instead I heard it through the grapevine. Now much longer would you be mine? I heard it through the grapevine. Oh, and I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, yeah. The grapevine, how much longer would you be my baby?
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes and Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldState.bncollege.com.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back, everyone, to Arts Beat Radio. I'm Mark Auerbach. Angela Combest, who is from Chester Theater Company and a member of Rock Voices, is here in the studio with me. And Tony Lechner, their founder and director, is with us online. Angela, we were talking with Tony before about how he founded Rock Voices. How did you find Rock Voices?
Well, fascinatingly, it's got a Chester connection. You might know that Chester Theater Company does 2 theater tours each year. And the first year I was brought on to work at Chester, I went on the London Theater Tour. And I was out to dinner with a small group of our tour goers. And one of them, Leslie Nyman, knew that I had just moved to the area from Chicago, knew that I was looking to meet new people. And she sings in the group. And so she said, you really need to look into this because what you do, you show up, you're with a whole group of people. Tony's really funny. It's really fun. It's a great way to get involved in the community. And so I took her advice. And the next time they had a sign up for a concert series, I signed up. And so I think I'm on my fourth time going. And I'm having just a great time with it. I used to sing. I had the lead in my high school musical, as so many people who work in the theater do, and had kind of given up on performing and singing. So this has brought it back to me in a way that's really fun. It's exercising a part of my brain that had kind of been lying fallow. So it's been really something special.
Did music always come easy to you before you got to Rock Voices?
Yeah, I was kind of that kid who was always a little bit of a ham and a little bit of a performer. I used to put on shows in my grandparents' living room, that kind of thing. And I sang, I was just thinking about this the other day. I sang Away in a Manger for my elementary school Christmas concert every year for like 5 years in a row. But when I got to college, it had drifted away. I moved more into arts administration and had kind of let go of the performing aspect. So this has brought it back to me in a way that has been very gentle and allows me to ease back into it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're saying that you left it, and I left performing to go into administration, arts administration first, and then public relations and stuff. And I haven't sung or been on stage probably in 20 years, but listening to Tony talk about Rock Voices, I keep thinking to myself, yeah, that would be a good place to go back to and see if I could do it.
Absolutely. And interestingly, and this is true for not just me, but other people in the group, again, this is the 4th time I've done it, but I've only done 2 of the concerts. There are people who just like to go to the rehearsals, and I think I fall into that category more so. The performing part of it isn't necessary for me. For some people, it's really the thing they look forward to. For me, it's being around other people, being out of my house, hearing other people's voices, hearing other people form community. And being a part of that has been really the thing that Rock Voices has given to me that I really love.
So how many rehearsals do you do a week before a concert?
Yeah, we have, I usually go to the Northampton location. Fortunately, those of us who are in Northampton or Hadley can go to either or both very easily. There's only 5 minutes between the 2 locations where we rehearse. So some weeks I'll go to 2 and some weeks I won't make any. But is it 12 weeks, Tony, that we generally have
Yeah,
rehearsals?
typically 12, but this fall it's actually 14 or 15 because the fall is the longest season.
Yeah, and we had a little makeup rehearsal last night on a Wednesday night, which was unusual. But, I was able to pop in and go to about an hour and 15 minutes of rehearsal. And then I ran over to Luthier's to hang out with James Barry and Tara Franklin, who were doing open mic night at Luthier's. So I got both things in
You are
last
a
night.
lucky person. I'd like to hang out with them.
I
Actually,
get to. I'm lucky, yes.
I mean, they have nothing to do with Rock Voices, but
Right.
they've been on my program several times. So they're coming down to do a show early in the winter time here. And they're two of the most fabulous people. I'm jealous.
I love them both very much, and I'm lucky that Tara now works in the administration at Chester as well as performs. So I get to be with her all the time, and their lovely son Sam. So I am very.
Now, I got to ask you a question that has nothing to do with Rock Voices, but Tara bakes a lot, and
Yes.
Sam bakes. Are her cookies as good as everybody says?
Oh, Mark. That I have a box of them sitting on my dining room table that she brought to my house on Sunday, and there's probably maybe 3 cookies left. They're so good, so good. The espresso chocolate stars are to die for.
Well, she said when she and James come down to do some Arts Beat radio, she's bringing a box of cookies.
So good.
So I can rave about them on the air. But if she's listening today, and I'll take a care package of cookies anytime.
Okay, I'll mention that to her too.
When you get to a performance and everything, do you all coordinate what you're wearing? Is there a theatrical production behind it, lights and sound and all of that?
Yeah, Tony, and please jump in if you want to add something to what I'm saying. But generally, the dress code is black with a splash of color. So, and people, express themselves in different ways, whether that's a pair of purple high tops or, sometimes it's a top hat with a red ribbon around it. It gives people, we still look like a chorus. We still have that uniform appearance, but people, express themselves in really special little ways. And there's, at the Academy, they have somebody who does all the lighting and sound. In fact, Tom Shred, who does sound for Chester Theater Company, often does the sound at the Academy as well. So, it looks great. It sounds great. And when I don't sing in the performances, I buy a ticket and sit in the audience. So I did just buy my ticket actually to go to the Academy.
Oh, so you're not in the January?
I'm in the rehearsals, but I'm not going to do the concert. I just love to, like I said, I like to be in rehearsal, and then it's really thrilling for me to sit there and to, let the sound wash over me as an audience member. I'm singing in my head.
Yeah. Tony can answer this. Are you all mic'd when they do the sound for this, or are the theaters acoustically sound enough that your voices can be heard?
No, we have the sound company puts some microphones, some area microphones, condenser mics that kind of take in all the sound at once, not individuals, obviously. But in a place as big as the Academy of Music, playing over a rock band, which we are backed up by a live professional rock band, you definitely need some sound reinforcement for the choir to be heard.
It's funny because I thought that the Academy of Music was built as an opera house back then, and that acoustically it's supposed to be very good. But I do work with the Capitol Steps, the political satire group that plays the Academy every year, and we really need to reinforce with sound. And I just assumed, because of all the stories about Jenny Lind, the famous opera singer, performing there, that you could be heard in the second balcony when you're speaking. But I guess that's a rumor.
Well, I think part of that's the acoustics of the style too. Mm-hmm. I think for a small orchestra and opera singers would probably have no trouble, but once you put electronics or any kind of heavier instruments into the mix, and a voice that's not necessarily a trained opera voice that's going to be projecting a couple football fields away, that's where it's a little different. So I bet you the right setting in the Academy would probably be just fine without it.
Tony, where's some of the other venues that you perform out of the area? Are they theaters like the Academy of Music? Are they churches like the event you're doing in South Hadley?
It's a big mix. It's really whatever we can find that fits the group in the area. It could be a high school, think in West Hartford they're going to be performing at the King Phillips Middle School because their auditorium worked out this time around. But in Keene, New Hampshire, they're going to be at the Redfern Arts Gallery at Keene State College. In someplace else, it might be a small church. If it's a smaller choir, they don't need a big place. Ours, we need someplace big because there's 250 singers. So that kind of limits us on the concert halls we can perform. I think the only 3 places in this area that could fit us, they are the Academy, the Calvin, and John M. Green Hall, which seats, I think, 2,000. So that's, we can't fit anywhere else anymore in terms of one concert only. But yeah, the groups perform in all kinds of venues. Anything goes.
And you say that, how many cities are you performing at, or do you have?
We currently have 15 choirs, but since Northampton and Hadley combined, that's really 14 concerts. That'll be happening in January.
Now, if a community wanted to start a Rock Voices in their community, what would the minimum things they would need to make it happen be? I know that's a tough question, but we have people, that listen to us in Vermont and in the Berkshires and, in parts of Connecticut. If they wanted to start a Rock Voices and collaborate with you, what would they need?
Sounds like we lost
I think we've lost Tony. Maybe Peter can get him back on the phone. Angela, do you have any idea?
Yeah, it seems to me just from a couple of experiences we've had in rehearsal that Tony auditions the directors for other places and actually brings them in and has them direct at his home choir at Northampton or in Hadley, and kind of gives them a trial run to make sure that they have what it takes to lead the group, because it isn't just about the musicality. It isn't just about being able to direct a choir. I think one of the things I've noticed about Tony in particular, but I'm sure this is true for other directors as well, is, one of the challenges is being able to deal with so many different people and personalities and manage that aspect of things, and to make everyone feel welcome and make everybody feel that they're contributing to the whole. And I think that when he is seeking out new directors, I'm sure that's a big part of it, because for a lot of people it isn't just about the music, it's about the community aspect of it as well.
Do we have Tony back?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We lost you there. Angela sort of answered part of the question, which was,
right,
if a community wanted to start their own Rock Voices, what would they need to have in order to make it work?
Well, I think the first thing they would want to do is just visit our website and send us an email through the contact form saying, "Hey, we want one here. What do we need to do?" And then we contact them and say to them, "Okay, here's what happens next," and start looking for enough people in that area that are interested, and try to identify a director, and all the things that Angela just said happen kind of after that.
Do you have a long-range plan as to how many choruses you'd eventually like to have, or are you going to keep it limited so that you can manage all of them?
I'm trying not to think about any long-range plan like that. That's overwhelming to think about. Right now, I'm just day by day, and as groups are added, we do it as manageably and reasonably as we can, so I don't go crazy, basically. Because every time we add a choir, it adds to my level of work. So
I would assume so. You've got 14 groups now, and they rehearse once a week. That means that you're in 14 different locations every week?
Well, no, I don't. I mean, there's different directors at all those places.
Oh, okay.
So I don't go to them. Each director in that area, they run their rehearsal. They take care of all of the local kind of things. But I still have to administer it, at central headquarters.
And you have to book the theaters, do the promotion, hire the sound people, and all of that. That comes from you, right?
Yeah.
So how do you work these 24-hour days, day after day after day?
Well, I don't. I do my best to try to balance the whole work and family and sanity thing. I think like everyone has to do, right? So I'm just doing my best to keep things going.
Now, you came out here to UMass. Did you come out to study theater music?
I did. Yep. I got my undergrad was in voice, and then I stayed on to do a master's in jazz composition and arranging.
So, when you're not doing Rock Voices, which is primarily rock music or jazz, do you listen to music on the side, and what kind of genres do you get into?
It's funny. You know how they say when something becomes your job, it's hard to do it for fun anymore?
Yeah.
As this is picked up, I find myself not listening to or playing to music as much anymore because so much of my days are filled with listening to the songs we're currently working on in the choir. So I am currently an expert on 15 songs. That's about it.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I cover theater, and after covering maybe 2 shows a week or 3 shows a week, week in and week out, if somebody says, "Hey, you want to go to see a show tonight?" If I'm not working, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I have to get away from it.
Yeah.
Angela, before we took the break, you were talking about your experiences and getting this. What would you, for somebody that was sort of interested, what would you advise them to? Would you advise them just go and try it out, or?
Well, right now this is a great time because if somebody is thinking that they're interested, now's the time to go and see a concert. There's going to be concerts all over the region. Somebody can just go and watch and experience it from the audience point of view. And then from there, come to a rehearsal. There is a policy, and Tony can clarify it, but if you go to a couple rehearsals and you find it's not for you, then you can step back. But I don't think that happens very often. When I see new faces, I tend to see them week after week. But it's, give it a try. It's, 12 weeks or 14 weeks. And the commitment is not so huge that, if you think it's something you might want to do, give it a whirl, because there's a lot to be had, not only from the perspective of working that part of your brain to enjoying the music itself, but enjoying the sound of other voices around you, I think is really, really good for your soul.
Well, we're going to take another break here to acknowledge our underwriters, and hopefully Peter Coles, my trusty chief engineer, can pull up another song from Rock Voices to lead us into a underwriter acknowledgement. And
this is one of my favorite songs anyways.
That's great.
To Africa.
We're talking with Tony Leitner, who is the co-founder, or is the founder of Rock Voices, and Angela Combes from Chester Theater, who's a member of the Northampton group, who are performing this month at the Academy of Music, and you can buy tickets at the Academy of Music's website, or Rock Voices has its own website, rockvoices.com, and you can go check out not only the show in Northampton, but the other 14 shows around the globe. So we'll be right back.
Echoing tonight, she hears only whispers of some quiet conversation. She's coming in 12:30 flight. Her moonlit wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, "Hurry boy, it's waiting there for you."
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardy siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to Art Beat, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach. Peter Coles is our chief engineer today. We are on 89.5 FM WSKB and on Westfield's Community Television, Channel 15. Tony Lechner from Rock Voices is on the phone with us today. He's the founder and director of that organization. They're performing next week in Northampton at the Academy of Music. And sitting with me is Angela Combest, who is a member of Rock Voices after work and at work is the director of marketing for the Chester Theater Company. And we've been playing some of Rock Voices music during our breaks, and we're going to leave you with some more music. They just sound so terrific. Mm-hmm. You know, considering they're people that are singing for fun and not singing for a paycheck. Tony, as you look back on, this, what is it, not 8 years since you got this thing going, have you reached a lot of the goals that you want to reach, or is there more to come?
It's funny. I don't think I had any goals when I started other than just to have everybody sing rock music for fun. I really thought it would just be something fun to do, just like, oh, this would be fun. It kind of morphed into what it's become, and I stumbled onto what the mission of the group was through experiencing with the people and what it did for them. What started as just fun for me has become life-changing experiences for the people in the group, whether it's they just have met lifelong friends that all go out and do things together, or bringing music to people who needed it and really wanted it but didn't know they were missing it. Those things have helped show me that it's more than just fun. So ironically, the goal has morphed with my understanding of what the group is, which is a healing juggernaut of song and community. So now my new goal is to spread that to more people. I've seen how people experience it and improve because of it. And I feel like, wow, more people should get to do this.
Well, during the break, Angela said that, times are tough right now. I mean, we're bombarded with the news about impeachment and all the government stuff, and people are having trouble making ends meet. And you get a chance, Angela said, you get a chance to go and rehearse and sing, and all that other stuff kind of drifts away. So I guess it's good therapy for everyday living if you sing out.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
And that's part of my own journey is Leslie, who introduced me to Rock Voices, had lost her husband. He had passed away. I moved here from an unfortunate and unpleasant divorce. And so that was part of, I was seeking something else to fill that gap. And I think that's true for a lot of people, that they're looking for something to fill in something that they've lost. And, it's not, I don't go there every rehearsal thinking, tonight I'm going to feel better, because I just go and feel better. And when we get to sing, like, we're singing Foo Fighters. I love singing Foo Fighters. It's the best thing. Here I am, a woman in her 50s, like pretending I'm Dave Grohl for a minute, and it's great.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would love to have the opportunity to sing music and just get away from it all. Unfortunately, I was saying also during the break, I mean, I cover theater. I love theater, but I can't do it all the time. I mean, I have to break away. And so theater's no longer become that go-to for entertainment because I work in it. And there's always that something. And so for those of you that are listening today, if you really want to get involved in something that sounds like A, it's entertaining, B, a place to meet people and have fun, you should check out Rock Voices at rockvoices.com. In our area, there are Rock Voices in Northampton and Hadley, and also in the Berkshires you have a couple, right?
Yeah,
Pittsfield. So it's in the area. If you're listening in Connecticut, Tony, do you have any in Northern Connecticut?
West Hartford is as far north as we have right now.
Okay.
But if there's any people listening who want one near where they are, they should let us know.
And when are the rehearsals? Are they the same night for all the groups, or do they vary?
It varies.
But let's say the Northampton one. When do you, or the Hadley? When do you rehearse?
Northampton's Tuesday night. Hadley is Thursday night.
So you look at the website, and then if you're interested, you can call for information, sign up for information, or can you just show up at a rehearsal and check it out?
You can just show up at a rehearsal. Totally, it's a great. Angela had said go to a concert, but I'll add also just stop by a rehearsal. Say, hey, I'm here to check this out, and they'll welcome you in, and you can hide in the back and watch without fear.
That sounds great. We're about out of time because as we segue out of the show today, I wanted to play some more of your music. Mm-hmm. And Tony Lechner, I thank you so much for joining us on the phone. And Angela Combes from Chester Theater, who is a Rock Voices singer, thank you for joining us in the studio. Next week, we're going to have Elisa Hale from Goodspeed Musicals. And if you've like musical theater, as you well should, and you know the musicals Man of La Mancha or Annie or Shenandoah or Irving Berlin's Holiday Inn, they all originated at Goodspeed Musicals down in East Haddam, Connecticut. And this month they have a festival of new musicals where you may get to see in a workshop or in a concert staging type of thing, you might get to see tomorrow's big Broadway hit. And so that's next week on ArtSpeed. Don't forget to join us every Friday at 8 a.m. on 89.5 FM WSKB and Westfield Community Programming, Channel 15. We broadcast from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy in Westfield, Massachusetts. And we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week on another ArtSpeed. As we lead out of the program, more music from Rock Voices.
Suddenly I see power to give, the power to see, yeah, yeah.